Welcome to this video for what is depression. If you're here, you must want to know a little more about depression, and possibly you're thinking about what's the difference between sadness and depression. Well, let's start with telling you that depression is a mental disorder. Just as any physical disorder, mental disorder can also happen to anyone. Any one of us can get diabetes, BP, or maybe break a leg, right? Similarly, all of us or any of us can get these mental disorders of depression, anxiety, etc. These are as clinically relevant as our physical disorders. Sometimes we have a tendency to feel like this is not important. Maybe a person who's going through depression is a weak person, but that's not true. If I break my leg tomorrow, does it mean I'm a weak person? So let's not judge somebody who has depression. Now, talking about what is really depression. It is a state of profound sadness that is accompanied with the inability to continue on with normal things that we are doing. I will talk about the symptoms of depression in a later video. However, just to give you a brief idea of what is depression, it's the feeling of sadness, but it kind of continues over a long period of time, and it also debilitates you in the sense that you will not be able to continue with things as you normally do. Now let's talk about how is it different from sadness. Again, this is a brief view and we'll cover it more in depth in a couple of other videos. Sadness is an experience, is an emotion that we feel, and everybody feels this. From time to time, we may all feel this intense sense of sadness, of grief, of loss, of pain, depending on the circumstances. We can be sad about something that has happened. It may be loss of job, it may be, we're sad about somebody moving away, we may be sad about something that is broken. It may be any small or big thing. But sadness is the emotion we feel. But this sadness will pass over a period of time, over a few days or weeks, depending upon what we are sad about, the sadness will pass through. Depression is more consistent. It stays there. Trigger may be there for depression. So there may be an incident which kind of starts off the depression, but the depression continues for a very long period of time, even after that incident is no longer there or maybe no longer relevant. And that is how exactly sadness kind of mildly shifts or deviates from depression. Now, it's kind of difficult to understand for a layman what the difference between sadness and depression is, because sadness is an integral part of depression. When you say that I'm depressed, you may not mean clinically depressed, but when you say somebody is undergoing depression, there is that element of sadness within that depression. But there are also other things, also other symptoms. And what we will do is talk about the criteria that some of the psychiatrists and psychologists use to define depression. And these are worldwide accepted. It'll help you know or at least understand that you or maybe somebody around you may be experiencing these symptoms and needs professional help. However, I do implore you not to use these criteria or this video to define yourself or to someone else that they have depression, because there's so many criteria. You can't really tell somebody you have BP issues, right? Similarly, for any mental health disorder, please do visit a mental health professional. But just take this, know this for your own awareness. What are the symptoms of depression? And if you do have this or somebody near you has this, please help them to seek advice or professional help. So there are some symptoms that can be an indicator for you to know that this person, either you or somebody else, may possibly be affected or be suffering from depression. There will be a loss of appetite, or there may be a change in appetite. So you may end up eating a lot more. You may end up eating a lot less. Again, this is not on one particular day. It means that this is going to be continued over a period of time, which means almost daily you're feeling either like overeating, hungry all the time, or you feel like I don't want to have anything. Another symptom is to do with sleep. Again, either a person starts sleeping excessively, like maybe 15-20 hours a day the person is sleeping, not able to get up from the bed, or they may experience insomnia or find it really difficult to sleep. The important thing to note is that depression affects each person very differently. So all these symptoms that I'm talking about will have a different impact. There's a scale, right? Somebody is doing too much, somebody is doing too little. And there is no particular defining criteria of this person will do this, right? So all of us experience depression in a very different manner. So do tend to be empathetic. If you have experienced certain symptoms and you have undergone depression, don't try or jump on to saying the other person is experiencing the other spectrum and hence is not undergoing depression. So to talk about a little more about the symptoms, the other symptoms can be loss of focus or concentration. A person undergoing depression may find it really difficult to focus on something, to look at something and concentrate on the work they're doing. This may be reading, working their normal daily job, or even household work. A very important aspect is that they will lose interest in what used to give them pleasure. So something that was of interest previously, something that they enjoyed doing, maybe watching television, maybe playing, maybe talking, maybe dressing up. Everybody has different interests, right? So whatever their interest may be, they tend to lose the interest or the pleasure that they get out of those interests. It all seems kind of meaningless. There is an increased level of fatigue. So even after sleeping for say 10 hours, people tend to feel very tired and unwilling to do anything. So they sometimes can have the experience of not even wanting to get up and have food. That seems like a huge task, or even brushing teeth can seem like a huge task. And this is a symptom of depression. This is not a symptom of laziness, really. So we tend to quickly judge people when these things happen, right? Oh, you're being so lazy. Yes, of course, at some point in our life, each of us have skipped maybe brushing or taking a bath because we're feeling lazy. But when it happens day in and day out with somebody, then it is a symptom that there is something wrong. It is a red flag, or rather it is something to give you an idea that there's something more happening and you need to probably focus on it and seek for professional help. Another aspect of depression could be real moodiness. So sometimes the people can get agitated or snap a lot, or a person may become completely passive. The important thing here is again to see if it's a part of your personality or this is something new. Because say there are people who are passive by nature, or there are people who are moody by nature. So their behavior is not a symptom of depression. However, if say the person is not moody, but then you notice that for the past X number of weeks, this person has been extremely moody and snapping. Or if the person is not usually passive, but this person now has started behaving very passively. And it's not a conscious effort. Say I decide I want to be passive, or I want to be more quiet or more distant as a conscious decision. That is very different from experiencing this and not consciously doing it, but it's happening to you. You don't feel like really connecting with people, or you feel like just passively letting life pass by. It's not a conscious decision, but a result of what's happening with you. I know all these symptoms can seem overwhelming, and we have a written section as well for you where you can look at these symptoms and understand. And I do understand that they're so similar to sadness. The most common thing that happens is when we listen to any mental disorder, we automatically jump to thinking, oh, I have experienced all of these. Which is why there is a criteria of symptoms which is followed across the globe. And we will cover those criteria in depth to help you understand and distinguish normal experiences from clinically significant experiences. So to help you understand, we run and our heart is pounding when we run. And also when we may have a heart attack, or we may have an anxiety attack, or we may have a high BP issue, we may experiencing the same things. We may feel like the heart is pounding at that time as well. But both these are different, right? The heart can pound normally when you run. The heart can pound abnormally when you are experiencing a physical ailment. The same way in mental disorders, the same symptoms can present, but the criteria, the cluster of symptom will be different. So to know more, stay tuned for the next video, which will talk in depth about the DSM criteria. Thank you.